Ladies and gentlemen, this message is for the person who is smiling in public but silently falling apart inside. For the one who cries at night, battles anxiety alone, and wonders if God has forgotten them in this painful season. Don't scroll away, because what you are going through right now is not the end of your story. The storm did not come to destroy you. It came to reveal the strength, purpose, and power God placed inside of you. And before this message is over, your faith is going to rise again. There are moments in life when the weight on your shoulders feels heavier than your strength can carry. Nights when tears fall quietly because you are tired of explaining your pain to people who cannot feel what you feel. Days when you smile in public but bleed in private. Seasons where it seems like heaven has gone silent and every prayer is hitting the ceiling instead of reaching the throne. But hear this deep in your spirit. Just because God is silent does not mean he is absent. Just because you are struggling does not mean you are abandoned. The God who formed the mountains is standing beside you in this very moment, even in the hardest season of your life. And some of you are fighting battles nobody knows about. You are carrying heartbreak, disappointment, fear, anxiety, betrayal, and exhaustion all at the same time. You wake up tired. You go to sleep worried. You are trying to hold everything together while internally falling apart. But there is something powerful about people who keep walking while wounded. There is something sacred about those who still praise while crying. The enemy thought your struggle would destroy you, but what he did not understand is that pressure does not always break a child of God. Sometimes pressure reveals the oil that was hidden inside of you. And you have been asking God, why is this happening to me? But maybe the better question is, what is God producing in me through this? Because every hard season carries a lesson, every storm carries a purpose, and every valley carries preparation for a greater elevation. God does some of his greatest work in hidden places. Seeds grow in darkness before they ever bloom in sunlight. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Gold is refined by fire. And sometimes God allows discomfort because he is developing a version of you that could never be born in comfort. And you are not being buried. You are being planted. And there are people listening right now who feel forgotten, who have watched others succeed while your prayers remain unanswered. You have watched doors open for everybody else while you stand in front of closed doors, wondering if God even remembers your name. But delayed does not mean denied. God's timing is not punishment. Sometimes he keeps you waiting because he is protecting you from stepping into something too early. What God has for you cannot be stolen by another person, blocked by another person, or delayed forever by another person. When your season arrives, no devil in hell can stop the hand of God from moving in your life. And do not let temporary pain convince you of a permanent defeat. And this season is teaching you how to trust God when you cannot trace him. Anybody can praise when the bills are paid. Anybody can worship when life is easy. But real faith is developed when you are standing in the middle of uncertainty, saying, God, I still believe you. I still trust you. I still know you are working even when I cannot see it. That kind of faith shakes heaven. That kind of faith terrifies the enemy, because the enemy expected you to quit, but you kept praying. He expected you to break, but you kept standing. He expected you to lose your mind, but somehow God kept giving you strength for another day. And you did not survive this far by accident. And there were moments you should have collapsed, but grace carried you. There were situations designed to destroy you, but mercy covered you. There were nights when depression whispered lies into your spirit, but the hand of God held you together when nobody else knew you were falling apart. You may be wounded, but you are still here. You may be tired, but you are still standing. You may be crying, but you are still breathing. And as long as there is breath in your body, God is not finished with your story. And some people walked away because they could not handle your season. They loved you when you were strong, but disappeared when you became vulnerable. They celebrated your success, but vanished during your struggle. Do not waste your tears chasing people who left during the storm. Sometimes God removes people because they were connected to your comfort, but not committed to your calling. Every departure is not a loss. Some exits are divine protection. God will never remove something without already preparing something greater. And while you are fighting this battle, remember this. Your identity is not your struggle. You are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are not the rejection you experienced. You are not the betrayal you survived. You are not the pain you carry. You are a child of God, and there is still purpose attached to your life. There is still greatness inside of you. There are still dreams waiting to be born. There are still doors waiting to open. There are still blessings with your name on them. And the hardest seasons often come right before the greatest breakthroughs. And the enemy attacks hardest when he senses purpose. Storms do not come because you are weak. Sometimes they come because you are dangerous to darkness. There is something inside of you that threatens the kingdom of fear. There is a calling on your life that cannot die in this season. And even though you have cried, questioned, doubted, and struggled, God has never taken his hand off of you. And you may not understand this season now, but one day you will look back and realize that the very thing that almost broke you became the thing that built you. The pain taught you strength. The loneliness taught you dependence on God. The betrayal taught you discernment. The struggle taught you endurance. And the season you wanted to escape became the season that transformed your life. And so lift your head again. Dry your tears again. Pray again. Believe again. Trust again. Fight again. The chapter you are in is not the end of the story. God is still moving behind the scenes. Heaven is still working on your behalf. What feels like delay is often divine construction. God is rebuilding your spirit, renewing your strength, restoring your hope, and preparing you for something your current mindset cannot yet comprehend. And even in this hardest season, God is with you in the hospital room. God is with you in the lonely apartment. God is with you in the courtroom. God is with you through the heartbreak. God is with you through the anxiety. God is with you through the financial struggle. God is with you when everybody else walks away. And when you cannot carry yourself anymore, he will carry you through the fire without letting the fire consume you. And because there are some battles you do not win with talent connections or human strength, there are seasons where the only reason you survived was because the presence of God kept breathing life into your weary soul. People saw you smiling, but they did not see the warfare behind the smile. They saw you showing up, but they did not see the nights you cried yourself to sleep, asking God for strength just to make it through another day. They saw the surface, but they never saw the storm underneath. Yet through all of it, God never lost sight of you. And there are moments when pain changes you. It strips away illusions. It exposes who is truly for you and who only loved the version of you that benefited them. Hard seasons have a way of revealing truth. And while it hurts to lose people, it is dangerous to hold on to relationships that cannot survive honesty, struggle, or growth. Some people were assigned to a chapter, not your entire story. And when God begins to elevate you spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, certain people will become uncomfortable with the new strength developing inside of you, and do not apologize for evolving through your pain. And the version of you that entered this season is not the same version that will come out of it. You are learning how to survive without constant validation. You are learning how to hear God's voice above the noise of fear. You are learning how to stand firm even when life feels unstable. And every lesson you are learning now is preparing you for an assignment greater than you can currently imagine. And there are blessings that require a stronger version of you. And that is why God sometimes allows isolation, because isolation can become transformation when you stop seeing it as punishment and start seeing it as preparation. In solitude, God speaks differently. In brokenness, he reveals things that comfort could never teach you. Some of your greatest revelations will not happen in crowds. They will happen in quiet moments when all you have left is faith. And in those moments, God begins rebuilding your identity from the inside out. And the enemy wants you to believe your situation is permanent. He wants you to think the darkness will never end. He wants you to become so discouraged that you stop expecting better days ahead. But feelings are not facts, and storms do not last forever. Morning always follows night. Healing always follows wounds when you place them in God's hands. And the same God who carried you yesterday is already standing in your tomorrow. And you have survived too much to quit now. And think about everything that tried to destroy you. Think about every heartbreak, every disappointment, every setback, every closed door, every betrayal, every attack on your peace. You should have lost your mind. You should have given up. You should have become bitter after everything you endured. But somehow, even with tears in your eyes, you kept moving forward. That was not luck. That was grace. And there is a strength inside of you that even you do not fully understand yet. And the fire did not consume you because God was standing in the flames with you. And sometimes God allows the fire not to destroy you, but to prove that what he placed inside of you cannot be destroyed by external pressure. Your purpose is stronger than your pain. Your calling is greater than your crisis. And your future is still alive, even if your present feels heavy. And some of you are carrying guilt from mistakes you made years ago. You keep replaying old failures in your mind. You keep punishing yourself for seasons where you were broken, confused, or spiritually weak. But hear this clearly. God is not asking you to live chained to your past. The enemy uses shame to keep people stuck in cycles they were meant to overcome. Shame says you will never change. Shame says you are too damaged to be used by God. Shame says your failures disqualify you. But grace says there is still purpose for your life, and you are not disqualified because you struggled. And every scar tells a story of survival. Every wound is proof that you fought battles and lived to tell about them. And one day the pain you cried about will become the testimony that helps somebody else survive their darkest season. God never wastes pain. He can take the thing that tried to break you and turn it into the thing that empowers others. And that is why you cannot stay trapped in despair. Your future needs your faith. Your destiny needs your endurance. There are people connected to your obedience that you have not even met yet. There are lives that will change because you refuse to quit in this season. Sometimes your survival is bigger than you. Sometimes your breakthrough carries blessings not just for you, but for generations connected to you. And the enemy fights hardest against people with purpose. And if the pressure has been intense, it may be because heaven has placed something valuable inside of you. Oil is crushed before it flows. Bread is broken before it feeds. And sometimes people who carry great purpose endure great battles because the enemy recognizes the impact before they do. But you must stop measuring God's faithfulness by your current circumstances. Just because life is difficult does not mean God has abandoned you. Sometimes the greatest miracles happen in hidden places where nobody else can see the process. While you are worrying, God is arranging things. While you are crying, God is strengthening you. While you are waiting, God is aligning opportunities, healing wounds, removing distractions, and preparing doors that no human being can shut. And your delay has a purpose. And if everything happened instantly, you would never develop endurance. If every prayer was answered immediately, you would never learn deep trust. And there are dimensions of faith that only grow in seasons where you have no choice but to depend completely on God. Dependence develops intimacy. Intimacy develops strength. And strength develops the endurance necessary to carry the blessing when it finally arrives. And some blessings are heavy, and you are asking God for elevation. But elevation requires maturity. You are praying for influence, but influence requires discipline. You are asking for open doors, but open doors require preparation. God loves you too much to give you something prematurely that could crush you because you were not ready to carry it. And so while you are in this hard season, do not waste the process by becoming bitter. Let the process build wisdom. Let the struggle develop character. Let the waiting deepen your faith. Let the heartbreak teach discernment. Let the pressure reveal the resilience hidden inside of you. And because when this season finally shifts, you will not just have a testimony about what God gave you. You will have a testimony about who you became while waiting. And there is another level of strength being formed in you right now. Not shallow strength that depends on applause or external success, but deep spiritual strength. The kind of strength that remains steady even when life becomes uncertain. The kind of faith that survives storms. The kind of peace that exists even when nothing around you makes sense. And in that kind of strength changes everything. And people who survive hard seasons with God come out differently. They walk differently. They pray differently. They see differently. They stop chasing temporary things because pain taught them what truly matters. They stopped depending on people for validation because God taught them their worth in private places. They stop fearing storms because they discovered that God remains faithful even in chaos. And one day, what currently feels heavy will become evidence of God's sustaining power in your life. One day, you will speak about this season with tears of gratitude instead of tears of pain. One day, you will realize that God was protecting you from things you were praying for because He had something greater in mind. One day, the confusion will make sense. The waiting will make sense. The heartbreak will make sense. The closed doors will make sense. And then until that day comes, keep walking by faith even when you cannot see the full picture. Keep praying even when answers feel delayed. Keep believing even when your emotions are unstable. Keep standing even when your knees feel weak, because every step you take in faith is proof that the storm did not defeat you, and God is still writing your story. And there are chapters ahead of you that your current pain cannot cancel. The enemy may have whispered that this season would be the end of you, but what he called an ending, God called a transition. What felt like destruction was actually reconstruction. God has been rebuilding parts of you that trauma tried to damage. He has been restoring confidence where rejection created insecurity. He has been reviving dreams you buried after disappointment convinced you to stop believing in yourself. And you cannot judge your future based on your present struggle. And a seed buried underground looks forgotten until the day it breaks through the soil. And some of you are in underground seasons right now. Hidden seasons, uncomfortable seasons, silent seasons where it feels like nothing is changing, but roots are developing beneath the surface. Strength is forming where nobody can see it. God is establishing you privately before He reveals you publicly. And too many people want public victories without private development. But private battles build public strength. Nobody sees the discipline it takes to keep believing when life keeps hurting you. Nobody sees the courage it takes to pray while grieving. Nobody sees the strength it takes to keep loving people after betrayal wounded your heart. Yet every silent battle you survive is shaping your spirit into something stronger than fear, and you are becoming harder to break. And not because life became easier, but because God became your foundation. Storms still come, but they no longer destroy you the way they once did. You have cried before and survived. You have been disappointed before and survived. You have lost things before and survived. And every season you survived became evidence that God's hand never left your life. And there are some people listening right now who are emotionally exhausted. You are tired of fighting battles on every side, tired of pretending to be okay, tired of carrying responsibilities while your own heart feels empty, tired of encouraging everybody else while nobody checks on you. But do not mistake exhaustion for defeat. Even strong people need restoration. Even warriors grow tired. And sometimes God allows you to reach the end of your own strength so you can discover the power of depending completely on Him. And because there are battles human strength alone cannot win, and some chains break only through prayer. Some healing comes only through surrender. Some breakthroughs happen only after you stop trying to control everything and finally place it in God's hands. You have been carrying burdens you were never meant to carry alone. Anxiety has been stealing your peace because you keep trying to solve tomorrow while surviving today. But God did not create you to live crushed beneath constant worry. And there is a difference between responsibility and bondage. And responsibility motivates you to move forward. Bondage convinces you everything depends entirely on you. But hear this clearly. God is already working on situations you cannot fix yourself. He is making ways you cannot yet see. He is opening doors in places you stopped expecting opportunity. He is touching hearts, arranging connections, shifting circumstances, and aligning moments according to His purpose for your life. And even when heaven feels silent, God is still active. And silence does not mean inactivity. A teacher is often silent during a test, but silence does not mean abandonment. And some of you are in seasons where your faith is being tested. Will you trust God when emotions are unstable? Will you believe Him when circumstances look impossible? Will you keep moving forward when answers seem delayed? And faith is not pretending the storm does not exist. Faith is believing God remains greater than the storm. And that is why you cannot allow fear to become the loudest voice in your life. Fear will convince you that failure is inevitable. Fear will magnify every obstacle until you feel paralyzed. Fear will make you question your worth, your future, your purpose, and even your ability to recover. But fear is a liar. The same God who carried you through previous seasons did not suddenly lose power in this one. And you have already survived things you once thought would destroy you. And think about that for a moment. There were nights you thought you would never smile again. There were situations you thought you would never recover from. There were moments when your heart felt shattered beyond repair. Yet somehow here you are, still standing, still breathing, still fighting, still hoping for better days, even after everything you endured. And that resilience did not come from nowhere. And God has been strengthening you little by little through every battle you faced. The tears strengthened you. The disappointment strengthened you. The loneliness strengthened you. The waiting strengthened you. And while you thought life was crushing you, heaven was developing endurance inside of you. And endurance changes people. And people who endure storms stop panicking over temporary discomfort. They stop collapsing every time life becomes difficult because they have learned that pain is often seasonal. They understand that storms pass. They understand that setbacks are not permanent. They understand that God can bring beauty out of brokenness and purpose out of pain. And some of your greatest growth happened in seasons you wanted to escape. And because comfort rarely produces transformation. Most growth happens when life forces you to confront things you would otherwise ignore. Hard seasons expose wounds that need healing. They reveal insecurities that need surrendering. They uncover habits, fears, and mindsets that cannot follow you into the next chapter God has prepared for your life. And God is not just trying to bless you externally. He is trying to heal you internally. And an internal healing matters because wounded people often sabotage the very blessings they prayed for. If God gave certain opportunities too early, your unhealed pain would destroy what heaven intended to bless. So sometimes the waiting season is actually a healing season, a rebuilding season, a preparation season designed to make sure your spirit can sustain the level God is calling you toward. And you are being prepared for more than you realize. And there are rooms your current mindset cannot yet enter. There are responsibilities your current emotional condition cannot yet carry. There are blessings connected to discipline, maturity, patience, and wisdom. And God is too intentional to elevate you without first strengthening the foundation beneath you. And that is why this season feels uncomfortable. Growth stretches people. Healing stretches people. Faith stretches people. And stretching is painful because it forces you beyond familiar limits. But if you never stretch, you never grow. If you never grow, you never reach the fullness of who God created you to become. And do not allow temporary discomfort to make you abandon long-term purpose. And the enemy wants immediate frustration to make you quit eternal assignments. He wants momentary pain to make you lose sight of permanent promises. But your future is too important to surrender because of a difficult chapter. And this chapter is not your whole story. And you may feel overlooked now, but God sees you. You may feel weak now, but God is strengthening you. You may feel delayed now, but God's timing remains perfect. You may feel broken now, but God still restores broken things. He restores peace. He restores hope. He restores purpose. He restores joy. And sometimes He rebuilds people so completely that the healed version becomes stronger than the version that existed before the pain. And there is still greatness inside of you, even if exhaustion has made you forget it. And there are still dreams alive inside of you, even if disappointment tried to bury them. There is still purpose attached to your existence, even if rejection made you question your value. God does not create people accidentally. Your life carries meaning. Your survival carries meaning. Even your struggle carries meaning. And one day you will understand why certain doors closed. One day you will understand why certain relationships ended. One day you will understand why God allowed some seasons to stretch longer than you wanted. And when you finally see the full picture, you will realize that God was protecting you, shaping you, and guiding you, even in moments when you felt completely alone. And so keep standing, keep trusting, keep believing when logic says give up, keep praying when discouragement says stop, keep moving forward even if your progress feels slow, because slow progress is still progress. Healing takes time, growth takes time, restoration takes time, and God is not rushing the masterpiece He is creating out of your life. And every scar, every tear, every battle, every lonely night, every unanswered question, every painful lesson is becoming part of the strength that will carry you into your next season. And because the next season of your life will require a level of wisdom, endurance, and spiritual maturity that this current season is producing inside of you right now. Nothing you have suffered is meaningless. Nothing you endured was wasted. Every battle carried a lesson. Every delay carried preparation. Every painful moment carried the opportunity for growth, even when you could not recognize it at the time. And sometimes God allows life to empty you so he can refill you with something greater. And you were too dependent on people, so God taught you how to depend on him. You were finding your identity in external success, so God allowed situations that forced you to discover your worth beyond accomplishments. You were chasing things that could never truly satisfy your soul, so heaven interrupted your plans to redirect your heart toward purpose. And redirection often feels like loss before it feels like blessing. And that is why some of the most painful moments in life are actually moments of divine repositioning. You cried because the door closed, but you could not see the disaster. God protected you from behind that closed door. You mourned relationships that ended, but you did not realize some people could not go where God was taking you. You questioned why certain plans failed, but heaven already knew those plans were too small for the future prepared for you. And God sees what you cannot see. And because he sees the full picture, he sometimes says no to things you desperately wanted. Not because he enjoys your pain, but because he understands consequences you cannot yet comprehend. A child may cry when a parent removes something dangerous, but wisdom understands protection differently than emotion does. And your emotions are real, but they are not always reliable. And there are days when exhaustion will tell you to quit. There are moments when disappointment will tell you nothing is changing. There are nights when loneliness will make you feel invisible. But feelings shift constantly while God's purpose for your life remains steady. That is why you cannot build your future on temporary emotions. You must build it on faith. And faith keeps walking when emotions collapse. And faith keeps praying when answers delay. Faith keeps believing when circumstances contradict the promise. Faith keeps holding on when life feels uncertain. And some of the strongest people are not people who never cried, never struggled, or never doubted. Some of the strongest people are those who felt weak, yet kept moving forward anyway. And courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is moving despite fear. And there are dreams inside of you that fear has been trying to silence for years. Dreams you buried because rejection embarrassed you. Dreams you abandoned because failure discouraged you. Dreams you stopped talking about because too many people doubted you. But what God placed inside of you still matters. Purpose does not disappear simply because life became difficult. And hard seasons often bury gifts beneath survival mode. And when people are hurting, they focus on making it through the day. They stop imagining. They stop creating. They stop expecting beauty because pain narrows vision. But God did not design you merely to survive forever. There comes a moment when healing begins restoring vision again. A moment when hope starts breathing again. A moment when you realize your future still contains possibility despite everything you endured. And do not let pain make you smaller than your calling. And the enemy wants trauma to shrink your confidence. He wants disappointment to silence your voice. He wants fear to make you play small for the rest of your life. But there is something powerful about people who refuse to let suffering define their identity. There is something dangerous about people who keep believing God after surviving storms. And because those people become unshakable. And when you have survived dark seasons, temporary problems stop intimidating you the same way. You develop spiritual resilience. You discover that your peace cannot depend entirely on circumstances. You realize that external chaos does not have to create internal destruction. And once you learn how to remain grounded in God during difficult seasons, life loses some of its power to terrify you. And some battles were necessary to reveal how strong you truly are. And you did not know your own endurance until life tested it. You did not know your own faith until circumstances challenged it. You did not know your own resilience until pain demanded it. And while the process hurt, it also revealed strength you never knew existed inside of you. And there are people watching your life right now who are inspired by your survival, even if they never say it aloud. And your persistence matters. Your refusal to quit matters. Your ability to keep loving, keep serving, keep believing, despite hardship matters. Because in a world filled with hopelessness, people notice those who continue standing through storms. And then do not underestimate the power of your testimony. And one honest story of survival can pull somebody else out of despair. One person choosing faith during hardship can remind another person not to give up. Your scars may become proof that healing is possible. Your journey may become evidence that God still restores broken people. And that is why the enemy fought your mind so intensely. And because if he could fill your thoughts with hopelessness, he could weaken your vision for the future. Battles often begin in the mind long before they appear externally. Fear starts as a thought. Defeat starts as a thought. Shame starts as a thought. That is why guarding your mind matters so deeply during difficult seasons. And you cannot constantly feed your spirit negativity and expect to walk in peace. And the voices you listen to shape the direction of your life. If you constantly listen to fear, fear will grow. If you constantly meditate on failure, discouragement will increase. But when you begin feeding your spirit truth, strength starts returning. Hope starts returning. Vision starts returning. And your mind needs restoration just like your heart does. And too many people look physically alive while mentally exhausted, smiling externally while internally carrying constant anxiety, self-doubt, and emotional heaviness. But God desires wholeness for you, not just survival. He wants to restore peace to your thoughts, confidence to your spirit, joy to your life, purpose to your journey. And restoration is possible even after deep pain. And do not believe the lie that you are too damaged to recover. People recover from heartbreak. People recover from trauma. People recover from failure. People recover from seasons that once looked impossible to survive. Healing may take time, but time in God's hands can rebuild things you thought were permanently destroyed. And there is still life after this season, and still joy after this season, still purpose after this season. Still laughter after this season. Still opportunity after this season. Your current pain is not the final chapter of your story. And while you are waiting for breakthrough, do not ignore the blessings already surrounding you. The enemy wants suffering to blind you to grace. He wants pain to make you overlook the fact that God has already carried you through countless battles before this one. Sometimes gratitude becomes strength during difficult seasons. Gratitude reminds you that even though everything is not perfect, God has still been faithful. And you are stronger than the version of yourself that entered this storm. And the fire changed you. The waiting changed you. The heartbreak changed you. But change is not always destruction. Sometimes change is refinement. Sometimes the old version of you had to break so the stronger version could emerge. And there are haps you no longer tolerate because pain taught you wisdom. There are boundaries you now protect because healing taught you value. There are places you refuse to return because growth changed your perspective. And while the process was painful, it also created discernment. And discernment protects destiny. And not every opportunity is from God. Not every relationship is healthy. Not every open door is meant to be entered. And one of the greatest gifts difficult seasons can give you is the ability to recognize what no longer aligns with your purpose. And you are becoming more intentional now, and more careful with your peace, more protective of your spirit, more aware of what drains your energy and what strengthens your soul. And that awareness is part of growth. Brokenness taught you what truly matters. And one day you will thank God for sustaining you through the very season you once begged Him to remove. Because without this season, you would not carry the wisdom you now possess. Without this season, you would not understand grace the same way. Without this season, you would not know how strong your faith could become under pressure. And as difficult as this journey has been, it is still producing something valuable inside of you. Something eternal, something unshakable, something deeper than temporary success or external applause. A strength rooted in the understanding that even in your darkest moments, God never stopped walking beside you.